This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, good morning, one and all. My name is B. Srinivasrao. Today, I would like to explain a functional diagram of 8086 and evaluation of microprocessors, block diagram of 8086. These are the three topics I am going to explain today. So, this is syllabus for 5 units. And if this is the first unit syllabus, today I would like to explain this functional diagram and evaluation of microprocessors. And these are the topics for today's class. And this, as we know that this is the block diagram of my computer. So it has input, output, memory, primary memory and secondary memory, and the microprocessor block diagram. This is the microprocessor block diagram. So this microprocessor block diagram is having 3 units: control unit, arithmetic unit, arithmetic and logical unit, and register set. So with these three only we are going to configure, or we are going to design the microprocessor 8086 block diagram. Right. So here you can see clearly I have removed this functional units. Then you can see what are the different functional units of 8086 microprocessor. Right. So with these blocks it is called computer. Without this it is called as microprocessor. And what is the need of microprocessor? Right. Why we need microprocessor in a computer system is the purpose of computer processor is to do the actual computation done by the computer, which includes managing the computer's memory, right, handling input from users, sending them to output, and doing whatever calculations are necessary. Right. As we know, we all know that the processor is also called as CPU. CPU stands for Central Processing Unit. The name itself it is telling that it is used to process the data from input to output, or from memory to output, or it will calculate some operations based on the instruction stored in its memory. This is what I have given in terms of wording here. Right. The purpose of microprocessor is to do the actual computation done by the computer, which includes managing the computer's memory, handling input from users, sending them to output, and doing whatever calculations are necessary. So these are the different operations to be performed by the processor. That's why processor is very important. So here memory management, handling operations, all are will be done by the processor. Right. So how does a processor work? We all know that the processor work based on the fetching, decoding, and execution. So what is meant by fetching here? Right. Here you can see in the next line. Right. Fetching means most modern processor work on fetch, decode, and execute principle. This is also called Van Neumann architecture. So fetching instructions means in the first step, the processor fetches the instructions from the memory. Because I told the definition of microprocessor also, which execute the instructions based on the uh, which executes based on instructions stored on its memory. So the instructions will fetch from the memory, right? So this step is called as fetching. So the memory places the instructions on the data bus. The processor then copies the instructions from data bus to the main instruction register. So the instruction is transferred from memory to instruction register. So this is the operation of the fetching. Here next one is called decoding. So in this step, the instruction is decoded by the processor. The processor gets any operand if required by the instructions. Because instruction will have two types, operands and opcodes. So these opcodes are called as instructions, and these instructions will be work on operands. So during this we record instructions, the opcodes are required to the operands are required to opcode the to decode the instructions. So execute instruction. In the last page, the processor executes the instructions, right, according to the 8086 instruction based instructions. So that is what we call the fetch, decode, and execution. What is the use of this fetch, decode, and execution is called as pipelinings, that we will see later. So initially the instructions are stored in the memory in a sequential order. The microprocessor fetches those instructions from the memory, then decodes it and executes those instructions till stop instruction is reached. Later, it sends the result in binary to the output port. Between these processes, the register stores the temporary data and ALU performs computing functions. This is the operation of register and ALU here in terms of fetch, decode, and execution. So here, what is happening when it is executing fetch, decode, execution is called as pipelining, and this is also called three-stage pipelining. So here in the step one, you can see here fetch, decode, and execution. In the step one, initially we will call the instruction that's called fetching the instruction one. At that point of time, no instruction is decoding and no instruction is executing. In the next step, for the next one more clock, what is happening? My first instruction is, second instruction is trying to fetch, because first instruction is decoding, and the next in the step 3 I am fetching instruction 3 and I am decoding instruction 2 and I am executing instruction 1. Right, see here, when instruction 1 is executing, my processor is not setting ideal, but it is decoding instruction 2 and it is fetching instruction 3. Right, see, within one clock cycle it can execute. Right, means one clock cycle means fetching, decoding, execution is called instruction cycle actually. Right, within one instruction cycle it is executing first instruction, it is decoding the second instruction, it is fetching the third instruction. This is what we call the pipelining or parallel execution. Right, so 8086 supports pipelining to increase performance. This we will see later in the block diagram. Whereas 8085 is a non-pipeline 80 processor, 8086 is a pipeline processor. That's why 8086 speed is little bit more compared to 8085. Not only because of clock speed of operation, clock frequency, and also this kind of technique 8086 has become more and more popular. Right, so these are some of the digital IC number 74 series. Right, 74 series, what is meant by 74 series? Initially we have two types of digital ICs, 74 series and 54 series. Right, 74 series ICs used for commercial applications and the 54 series ICs are used for military applications. What is the difference between these two? Military applications were operated between -50°C to +120°C, whereas commercial ICs were operated between 0°C to 70°C only. So because military people may move to anywhere suddenly, so at that point of time, those ICs should work properly. So their ICs manufacturing is done by different components. That's why in those initial days they were manufactured with 54 series for military applications and 74 series for commercial applications. You see every IC 7400, 7402, 74. See, every IC is starting with 747. That's what is called as 74 series ICs. Right, and the types of processors. These are the different types of processor. General purpose processor are a general purpose processor based on bits, processors based on bits, and processors based on instruction set. So the general purpose processors means there are 5 types of processors, and these processors are specific processor and also called as basic processors, and specific purpose or application purpose is called microcontroller, and desktop or laptop purpose is called as microprocessors, and for embedded applications is known as embedded processors, and for audio video applications and graphics controlling and 3D operation they are called as DSP processors, media processors, and graphic processor. These are the different types of basic processors we are having, and processors based on bits here: 4-bit processor, 8-bit processor, 6-bit processor, 30-bit processor, and 64-bit processor. These are the different types of processor based on bits. And based on instruction set, we are having 2 types: CISC and RISC instruction. CISC stands for complex instruction set of computer, whereas RISC stands for reduced instruction set of computer. So our 4th unit is based upon this ARM processor. So ARM stands for Advanced RISC Mission. So there we will see what is this CISC and RISC completely. Right, so these are different types of processors. Any processor today we are having, all are belongs to only these types of processors only. And here these are the different companies which are manufacturing chipsets, and these are different companies which are manufacturing the microprocessors. In that, we are studying about Intel processors. Among all these, we are studying about Intel processors. Why Intel processor? Here, this topic is called evaluation of microprocessors, and here why? Because Intel chips tend to offer better performance per core, but AMD compensates with more cores at a given price, and Intel has better onboard graphics, whereas AMD has off-board but weaker in performance. Right. So here performance, power consumption, clock frequency, all are need to be considered. So that's why here if you compare Intel ICs with AMD and Motorola, they are having better performance and onboard graphics and so on, so different features. That's why in our syllabus, Giant is offering this kind of ICs 8085, 8086 and 8051 microcontrollers. That is the reason why we are studying about this 8086 and 8051 in our syllabus. Okay, and this is the evaluation of microprocessors, 4-bit processors, 8-bit processors, 6-bit processors, 30-bit processors, and 64-bit processors. Today we are all using 64-bit processors in our desktop, laptop, and so on so places. We are using the 64-bit processors. Right. So here I want to show you evaluation of processors in terms of video. Right. Here you can see that. Right, Intel 4004 introduced 1971. Its clock frequency 8008 1972, and its clock frequency 800 kHz with 3005 transistors. 8080 1974 2 MHz. Type it is 8-bit and it has only one single core. And 8086 is 16-bit 1978. 29,000 transistors. Intel 8088 1979 5 MHz and 29,000 transistors. Right, say 80286 1,34,000 transistors. Right, its clock frequency is 25 MHz. 1993 Pentium processor 66 MHz 3.1 million transistors. And a Pentium Pro introduced in 1995 200 MHz. In 2000, Pentium 4 has been introduced. 2001 Intel Xeon 1.7 GHz and 42 million transistors. Pentium M 2003 1.7 GHz clock speed and 55 million transistors. Intel Core Solo and Duo 2006 onwards, Duo Core to Duo dual core processors have been introduced, and 2006 Core to Duo 291 million transmitters 2.9 giga transistors. And this is the evaluation of different microprocessors, and this is in 2008 ICs 1.86 gigahertz. So you can see here when air is increasing, cores and beta operation is also increasing. Right, 2017 also we are using 64-bit microprocessors, and that is the evaluation of microprocessors. And here the first microprocessor was called as 4004 microprocessor, and why it is called as 4004 and what is the evolution of 4004, here we will see. And this is called as 4 series ICs, not microprocessors. This is called 4 series microprocessors. 4001 ROM, 4002 RAM, 4003 10-bit shift register, 4008 is memory plus IO interface, 4009 memory plus IO interface, 4211 is general purpose byte IO port. Like different types of 4 series ICs are there. In between these 4 series ICs, after RAM and ROM invention, they thought of why don't we design one circuit which can perform arithmetic and logical functions. That is what we call the 4004 microprocessor, which can perform arithmetic and logical operations based on the control unit and register set is called as 4004 microprocessor. And later on here you can see, later on they have invented with one more 4 series microprocessor is known as 4004. About this 4004 we will see later. And here this is the history about 8-bit processors. Here how they came into the world of 8086 with different companies, not only like Intel, and parallelly Motorola also has started its working on microprocessors, and Zilog, Z80 and RCA, these are also have designed their ICs for aerospace applications. Right, so here these are the 8 series ICs. 8-bit 8008 was invented in 1972, 8080 was designed in 1974, 8085 is 1974, so somewhere you can see that 1975, and it is called improved integrated version of these two. Right, and 64-bit microprocessors 8086 was introduced in 1978, and 286 and 188, these are also 86 family, and they have introduced in 82 and 84 onwards. And here this green color, why I put the green color is this is our syllabus based on 8085 and 8086. 8085 is 8-bit and 8086 is 16-bit. So why? Because 80 your gate syllabus is based on 8085, whereas JNT syllabus is based on 8086. That's why here I won't touch about 8085 also little bit. Right, so except Intel ICs, what are the different companies? Here you can see that Motorola and Zilog has introduced these two ICs of 8-bit microprocessors. And here Intel 8 series of 32-bit 80386 and 80486 ICs. And here these are also Pentium processors of 32-bit only. Pentium 1 to Pentium 4. Pentium 5 was also introduced, but it was failed in the market, and this is the latest technology since 2007 or 2010 onwards. So everybody is familiar with i3 processor, i5 processor, and i7 processor, but what it is actually is called as 2000 or somewhere it is given 2005 onwards, they had introduced this 4 to dual core processors, and are known as i3 quad. If they are 4 cores quad core. Next i5 i7 with 3 cores, 5 cores, 7 cores have introduced. Next i7 also having 3 core ICs, 5 core ICs, and 4 core ICs, and so on like that. And octa core, right, 8 cores like that. They have named the microprocessors. They are all known as different one. And next 32-bit OS and 64-bit OS. When microprocessors are changed from a 4-bit to 8-bit, 8-bit to 16-bit, and 16-bit to 32-bit, then parallelly these microprocessors need some operating system to run the computer. Then if microprocessor is 64-bit, then 32-bit OS is enough to run the processor? No. So parallelly they must be designed 32-bit operating system if it is 32-bit microprocessor, and 64-bit microprocessor if it is 64-bit microprocessor, then only speed and performance can be increased. Otherwise speed and performance will be a little bit slower compared to 64-bit and 32-bit. So then we have to remember these parameters of data and storage handling, system compatibility, and performance. Everybody says that if you have 64-bit microprocessor, right, if you have the 64-bit OS, then it's called compatibility. Otherwise they use the word called it's not compatible, not compatible. What's the meaning of it? A system with a 64-bit processor can run either of a 64-bit or 32-bit version of an operating system. Both can be run. But a system of 64-bit processor cannot run based on 32-bit processor. On the other hand, system with 32-bit processor could run 32-bit OS properly, but 64-bit OS would not be run as its full compatibility. Right. So performance will be a little bit reduced. Right. So that's why here we should take care of this one while choosing the processor also. operating system also should be chosen in terms of 32-bit, in terms of 64-bit operating systems. And here these are the generation of microprocessors, first generation to 10th generation. So means different cores, generation to generation, they have introduced different cores, 2 core, 3 cores, 4 cores, like that. What is core we will see later. Core is nothing but the same operation of the processor, but to increase the speed of operation, instead of one processor, they have introduced more than one processor structure, that is known as the core. So here Intel 10 core processors, what it is doing by having number of cores. Right. So Intel 10 core is having built-in microphone. It mute noise. It doesn't allow noise. Right. And it blur background also to show the more and more clarity. While discussing, it can convert or text, voice can convert to text easily. Right. So there are all different types of features introduced in 10th generation microprocessors, and this is the evolution since 1823 onwards, how IC was invented, transistor was invented, microprocessor invented, and all here. This is the different era of microprocessors here. They are given one by one since 1823 to 1979, and how first microprocessors to latest today's 2020. Here you can see that core i9, right? i9 mobile processors. The i9 is having how many cores? Right, 18 cores, 16 cores, like that. It is 14 cores, like that. We're all having different types of cores. So 10th generation is also having 18 to 20 cores on its microprocessor architecture. Right. So this is the block diagram of computer, and this is the block diagram, but this is called as functional blocks of 8086. Means here we are explaining what each block will be performing the different function. Right, is known as the functional blocks. Sometimes this question also will be asked in the examination. So here if you see that ALU, it is a computational unit, performs arithmetic and logical operations. Next, flag register, various conditions of the results are stored as status bits called flags in flag register. So this is called flag register. And register array are internal memory, right, internal storage of data. Instruction decoding, it's a part of control unit, right? And timing and control unit, these are the two, timing and control and instruction decoding unit. Generates control signals for internal and external operations of the microprocessor, right? And the next one, it decodes instructions, sends information to the timing control unit. So that's why these two units are called as control unit. And this is called PCRIP, program counter instruction pointer. It gives the address of next instruction. See here, generates the address of the instruction to the fetched from the memory and sends through address bus to the memory. It means in one line, if I say that this block executes address of the next instruction. Our 8086 or any processor will be designed, will be built based upon these blocks only. That's why it is called as functional diagram, right? So we will see here the functional diagram is nothing but ALU, register set, and timing and control unit. So each and every block, what it does will be known as the functional blocks or a functional diagram of a processor. Right. This is the first topic of the unit 1. Right. So what is meant by 64-bit processor as a 8-bit processor here? Right. 64-bit means we have to remember these three parameters. Width of the data bus is 16-bit. Size of the registers must also be 16-bit to perform different operations or to hold the data of 16-bit. And size of ALU to perform arithmetic and logical operations in terms of 16-bit. Right, so this is the 4004, the first 4-bit microprocessor invented by Ted Hoff and his team. Right, 4004, its clock frequency is 740 kHz and number of pins 16. Instruction set is 4-bit BCD oriented, and number of transistors they have taken 2250 to manufacture this 4004, and minimum feature sizes they have manufactured on 10 micrometer technology. It's called micron technology, and it was designed by Intel. and address width is 12 address bus, right? Means 12 address lines and 4 data lines here, right? Who created this Intel is Federico Fagin. In November 91, a company called Intel stands for Integrated Electronics, publicly introduced the world's first single chip processor, the Intel 4004, invented by the Intel engineers Frederick Fagin, Marcian, and Ted Hoff and Sam Thomas. But the head of this team is called Ted Hoff, right? So Ted Hoff and the group has invented this 4004 microprocessor at Intel Corporation, AT&T Labs, right? And it was patented by US patent. This is the patent number. And what is need of microprocessor I was explained. And this is what we call the fetch and decode. Based on this fetch and decode only, the 4004 microprocessor is having one ALU in it and one flag register and different registers. And this is called control unit. And these are called register, different registers. And this is the data bus. And this is also called as control unit. These two are called as control unit. And here these are also called as the different registers. So that's why I told you there are mainly 3 types of blocks: ALU block, control block, and register set. So this is called ALU block, and this ALU block is having 2 more controlling block, 2 more blocks: flag block and decimal block, and accumulator block and temporary register block. Right, explanation is not required. Just you observe that what are the different blocks in microprocessor. Right, and here you can say that this is the block diagram of 4004. In detail I have given. You can go through this diagram. Right, it has 3 registers. Right, this is called ALU set, and this is called as control unit. And this control unit is in relation with this instruction decoder and mission cycle encoding. Then this is also comes under timing and control unit. So this is what we call the register set, ALU unit, and control unit. Right, and the standard microprocessors are 8085 and 8086. 8085 is called as 8-bit microprocessor, and 8086 is called as 16-bit microprocessor. And 8085 is 8-bit microprocessor of 40-pin IC, and 8085, this is the block diagram of 8085 microprocessor, and it has different registers: the accumulator register, temporary register, flags, instruction register, and all. These are all different registers, and this is interrupt controlling unit, and this is for serial communications, and WH, BC, DE, HL, and W and Z, SP, program counter, increment and decrement registers, and address buffer, data and address buffer. These are all different registers in 8086, and this is the ALU block. You see everything is connected to ALU block, and ALU is followed by flag register, and timing and control unit and instruction decode. This is called as the control block, and this is the block diagram of 8086. See here the blocks they have kept on the block diagram based on the normal block diagram of microprocessor only, that is register set, ALU unit, and register set, right? ALU and control unit. So these are different registers, and these are the different features of 8085 microprocessor. And this microprocessor whole unit is packed into a single chip IC. This is called 8085 microprocessor, and its features are: Intel is an 8-bit microprocessor. It is developed by Intel Corporation, and it has 40 pins fabricated single chip. Its clock frequency is 3 MHz, and somewhere they are giving it as 5 MHz, and it is operating voltage is 5 volts, and it is designed by 6200 transistors to 6500 transistors. It has 8-bit data bus, and it has 16-bit address lines, right? And the pins, these pins are categorized into different 6 types: address bus pins, data bus pins, control and status signals, power supply and frequency signals, externally initiated signals, and serial IO ports, right? These are all different types of pins categorization on 8085 pin diagram, and these are all different features of 8085 microprocessor. And this is the difference between 8085 and 8086 microprocessor. 8085 is an 8-bit microprocessor, whereas 8086 is 16-bit microprocessor. 8085 has 8-bit data bus, and 8086 has 16-bit data bus. It has 16 address lines, and it has 20 address lines. Right, 8085 has 64 KB of memory and 8086 has 1 MB of memory, and it has 5 flags: carry flag, parity flag, sign flag, zero flags and auxiliary carry flag, and it has 9 flags: carry flag, parity flag, sign flag, zero flag, auxiliary carry flag, direction and trap flag, and interrupt and overflow flags. It is accumulator based processor. It is general purpose register based processor. It has no minimum and maximum mode. It can operate in any one of minimum or maximum mode. It does not support pipelining, whereas it supports pipelining. It does not support memory segmentation, but it supports memory segmentation. Right? It has 6,500 transistors to manufacture this 8085 architecture, and it was manufactured with 29,000 transistors because of the more number of functionalities increased. Right? Because here it is 8-bit, every register is in terms of 8-bit, but here it is 16-bit, every register is in terms of 16 bits. So one register means 1 bit data. If it stores, we need 1 flip-flap. So 1 flip-flap means at least we need 4 NAND gates. To design one NAND gate, at least we need 4 transistors. How, that we will see in the next coming presentations or next coming classes. So 8086 is 16-bit microprocessor, 40-pin IC, and these are all different types of features of 8086. It was launched in the year 1978 by Intel. It has major improvement over 8085 to use in the industry. It is a 16-bit microprocessor. It has 16 data lines because it is a 16-bit microprocessor. What is the meaning of 16-bit microprocessor? 16-bit data lines, 16-bit ALU, and 16-bit registers. This is what we call 16-bit microprocessor. It has 16 data lines, it has 16-bit ALU, and we'll do modification. Right, so here you can see that what is the meaning of 16-bit microprocessor means it has 16 data lines, 16-bit ALU and 16-bit registers, but 14 registers are there total. Everyone is 16-bit only. That is the meaning of 16-bit microprocessor, and it has 20 address lines. So to store the data, why we need 20 address lines? Because how memory is calculator, memory is calculated by number of address lines only. Memory means storage capacity. Storage capacity means storage locations. Storage locations means each location how it can be represented. It can be represented with address. That's why we need address lines. So it has 20 address lines, and data lines and address lines are multiplexed here, because when we are fetching the address, data lines need not be work. When we are performing the data, address lines will try to fetch the address, but it don't fetch the any instruction. That is the meaning of multiplex address and data lines. You will see later. Next, its operating voltage is 5 volts, and its average frequency of operation is 5 mega, 8 mega, and 10 mega. And it has 2 operating modes, minimum mode and maximum mode, and it supports pipelining, it supports memory segmentation, it supports up to 256 interrupts, whereas 8085 supports only 5 to 6 interrupts, and it has 9 flags, whereas 8086 have 5 flags, and 8085 and 8086 both are packed into 40-pin IC only, and 8085 was manufactured with NMOS, and whereas it is designed with CMOS technology. And in short, you can remember these features, otherwise same, but here I have given one more time how to remember these features. And this is architecture of 8086. 8086, this is the complete microprocessor, sorry, computer, but this is the architecture of 8086, you can see here. So the 8086 architecture has been separated into 2 units, but this kind of nice architecture is not there in the case of earlier versions of 8086 microprocessor like 8085, 8008, 8080, 4004, 400, 4040 was not having this kind of nice architecture. Right, so this microprocessor should have in relation with IO and memory, right? That's why I given this IO and memory external, right? Why? Because if you see the block diagram of any microprocessor here, right, you see here it has input, output, and memory units, and this is what we call the computer. But here to run the microprocessor, definitely we need bus interfacing memory and IO, because the microprocessor will run based on instructions stored in its memory. So we can get the input from memory, or we can get input from input device. After executing the microprocessor will give the data to output devices. That's why here, but some places they won't give this IO block, they will give only this memory block. So based on this, right, we have to remember this architecture also. There are two types of computer architectures and processor architecture. They are called as Van Neumann machine and Harvard machines or Harvard architectures. What is difference between Van Neumann and Harvard architectures? You see here, microprocessor following Van Neumann architecture, whereas microcontroller is following Harvard architecture. What is the meaning of that? You see here, CPU means processor is having data lines and address lines go through data or program memory. Right, both are connected to program memory and data memory only once. Right, so it is time consuming. But whereas in the case of microcontroller, here program memory is separated and data memory is separated. Program memory is called as RYM memory, whereas data memory is called as RAM memory. So this is the architecture wise difference between microprocessors and microcontrollers. So here in the diagram also we are taking both data lines and address lines for RAM and ROM in only one. Whereas in the case of microcontroller, this is the difference between first unit and second unit. In the case of microcontrollers, program memory and data memory both are separated by data lines and address lines. Okay, this is what we call the Harvard architecture and Van Neumann architecture. Right, this is edge 85 block diagram and this is edge 6 block diagram. So you see here, this is the memory, and edge 6 is having bus interfacing unit and execution unit. It has two units, bus interfacing unit and execution unit, and this is called as control system. But microprocessor means we should have control unit, arithmetic and logical unit, and register set, where they have where they are in this block diagram of 8086. We will see. Right, this is the memory block, and here we can put the IO, and here this is the ALU, arithmetic and logical unit, and here AX, BX, CX, DX, flag register, ES, DS, CS, IP. These are all called reference registers, and this is what we call the control unit. Right, and so meaning of microprocessor is satisfying or not here. So the meaning of microprocessor means it must have one ALU, it must have control unit, and it must have some set of registers, right? And this an instruction byte also 6-byte register, right? So here we have different types of registers here, and these registers are again based on its operation of priority. It has been categorized into two units: bus interface unit and execution unit. Okay. Now, what is the memory here? We know that number of address lines in 8086 is 20. So 20 address lines will give 2 power 20 is equal to 1 MB of memory. Right, you can see here 1 MB of memory. But if we know that microprocessor internally is having all the registers are in terms of 16-bit. Right, so that's why here there is a address conversion mechanism in bus interfacing unit that we will see. First, we'll talk about memory. Program, data, and stack memory. There are three types of memory: program memory, data memory, and stacked memories occupy the same memory space. As the most of the processor instructions use 16-bit pointers, the processor can effectively address only 16 KB of memory. To access memory outside of 64 KB, the CPU uses special segment registers to specify where the code, stack, and data 64 KB segments are positioned within 1 MB of memory. 16-bit pointers and the data are stored as address, lower address byte, and higher order byte. So that's why here they have been categorized into three parts. Program memory is used for storing the program instructions, whereas data memory is used to store the data of the user data or system data, and stacked memory can be placed anywhere in the memory. The stack can be located to odd memory address, but it is not recommended for performance reasons. At reserved locations means some of the memory has been reserved for storing of interrupts, interrupt instructions that we will see in the next coming presentation. This is our subject in the next classes about memory. There is a separate video or separate class on this memory. So this is the size of memory, how to represent in terms of 1 kilobytes, 1 megabytes, 1 gigabytes and all. And these are the 2 power values, or how to represent binary to hexadecimal. Right, 1 KB, 2 KB, 3 KB means what, 256 bytes means what, or 256 values means what, 1 KB means what, 4 KB means what, like that they are going to define these values here. And the x86 has two parts, the bus interfacing unit and execution unit. The bus interfacing unit fetches instructions, reads and writes data, and computes as 20-bit address. The execution unit does decodes and executes the instructions using 16-bit ALU. The bus interface unit contains the following registers. So IP, instruction pointer, code segment register, data segment register, stack segment register, and extra segment register. The extra segment and the data segment both are same, both are data segment only. And bus interface unit fetches instructions using code segment and instruction pointer written in code segment and IP. To construct the 20-bit address, data is fetched using a segment register and an effective address computed by the execution unit depending on the addressing modes that we will see later. Right, so here you can see that what are different function units of x86 bus interfacing unit. Here you can see this is called segment registers, and this is called address conversion mechanism, and this is called as instruction stream or instruction byte queue. These are the three blocks on the 8086 bus interfacing unit. Here I am giving those only: instruction pointer, segment registers, instruction queue, and address conversion mechanism. These are the four blocks on bus interface unit, and these are different blocks on execution unit: ALU, general purpose registers, index and point registers, flag registers, timing and control unit. And these are the different blocks on it. This is the 8086, and these are the blocks on 8086. Right, so 8086 functionalities of bus interfacing unit is it provides interface with external memory. We have seen that it provides interface with external memory, and it fetches instructions or data from memory. It fetches read or write data from memory and write the data to memory. Read or write data from ports input and output. It stores the fetched instructions from memory into 6-byte queue. Here, once data has been fetched from this memory, they are copied into instruction 6-byte queue and also generates 20-bit address. From this address conversion mechanism, it converts into 20 bits address. It also provides pipelining through queue, right? And bus interfacing unit. Right. What is meant by 6-byte instruction queue? In 8086, a 6-byte instruction queue is presented at the bus interfacing unit. It is used to prefetch and store at the maximum of 6 bytes of instruction code from the memory. Due to this, overlapping instructions fetch with instruction execution increases the processing speed. How I was explained what is meant by pipelining. So this instruction byte queue is following the pipelining here, right? That is fetching, decoding, and execution, right? It means in 8086, if I say openly, 8086 instruction size, the maximum instruction size is ranging from 1 instruction to 6-byte instruction, right? So in that 1-byte instruction to 6-byte instruction, any instruction may be followed, made arithmetic instructions, logical instructions, data moving instructions, processor control instructions, flag control instructions. Different types of instructions are there, and these instructions size is between 1 byte to 6 bytes. So you can, if it is 2-byte instructions, you can fetch the three 2-byte instructions. If it is 1 instruction or 3-byte and you are fetching those, you can fetch 3-byte instructions too, or 1 byte 1, 2 byte 2, 2 byte 1, like that. You can fetch 3-byte instructions at a time. So like that, speed can be increased. That is what we call the instruction byte queue, and this concept I will explain in the pipelining already, right? And this is the execution unit, functionality of execution unit. It receives opcode of instruction from the instruction to tell bus interfacing unit from where to fetch the instructions or data, to decode or execute the instructions, to perform various control operations, update the status of flag registers, offset and address register. So these are the functions of execution unit. Means what is meant by execution? Right, execution means performing the specific operation of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, or sorting, so on, so operations to be executed. How it will be executed? To execute any instruction, we need instructions. How these instructions, where they are stored in memory. And how they can fetch from the bus interface unit, and the fetched instructions can be copied into instruction byte queue, and this instruction byte queue can store up to 6 bytes of instructions, right? So, and one by one these instructions will be decoded and they will be copied in instruction byte queue for executing the data, and when it is twice executing, these are the following instructions to be followed. Right. So, and control unit. Yeah, control unit is a part of execution unit. Before execution, we need some control instructions, and those control instructions will be given by control unit. It is responsible for controlling and coordinating all activities performed by various subunits. And this unit prefetches the instructions from instruction queue, decodes the instructions, and executes the instructions. This control unit issues various control signals such as read, write, data, etc. to perform various operations, and this is the control unit. It is mainly responsible for controlling and coordinating all activities performed by various subunits of your execution unit and bus interfacing unit. And this unit fetches instructions from instruction queue, decodes instructions, and executes the instruction. This control unit issues various control signals such as read, write, data, etc. to perform various operations. And here, this is the definition of register, what is meant by register, what it does, and all. And these are all different types of registers. We will see in the next class or the next presentation what are different types of registers in 8086. And here you can see that this is the program structure in 8086. And here you can see the data segment, port segment, and AX, DS, AX, BX, these are all different types of registers. Move, add, these are all called different types of instructions. Like these types of instructions are stored in the memory. This program will be stored in the memory, and one by one it will fetch it by the bus interface unit and put it in the code segment of the bus interfacing code segment instruction. And one by one instruction will be executed by instruction pointer, and then they will go into the instruction byte queue one by one, and it reaches the um, control unit, and the control unit will give the different types of control signals to the execution unit, and this execution unit will then execute, because here it is having ADD. ADD stands for addition, so it will perform the addition operation based on this ADD operation. Right, and we will see about all these things in the next coming presentations. Right, and here these are the different types of registers. 14 registers, they have general purpose pointer, index, instruction pointer, segment register, and flag. These are the 14 registers in 8086. Right, and this is the question about draw the internal architecture of 8086 microprocessor and explain the function of each block in detail. Right, and this question was asked for 5 marks in 2019 latest question paper only in the third year second semester for EC section only, EC branch. So that's why here we need to learn about this one. And what is the importance of pipelining concept in 8086 for 2 marks. So this presentation for 7 marks, completely 7 marks of out of 75. So thank you. If you have any doubt, please ask me. For any questions, please ask me. And thank you very much.